Which brings me to a point of kind of like, how do you ensure quality in the sourcing yourself for this? Because I understand even something like a Whole Foods, which is supposed to be organic, has GMO now, and sometimes you don't know this, and you're just kind of assuming that someone's doing some QC there and quality control, but it's not always the case. And that's the same thing I've learned about restaurants. Like you could go to a really fine dining place and they're using kind of frozen tilapia that's not even the best really source and maybe sat there too long, it's coming from China, somewhere else, but cooked very well and tastes somewhat well and kind of covers it up. So how do you go about ensuring that, and how far does that transparency go for even you to see? Are the farmers open with what they're doing? Can you see that? Talk about that.
Yeah, so and it's a great question. I'll first touch on highlighting that even the fancy restaurants, um, you know, cut corners
Sure.
are low quality in terms of the health of their ingredients. And that was kind of the issue we ran into, right? It's not just McDonald's and Chick-fil-A that
Hmm.
are really bad. All these fancy restaurants, they advertise, we proudly serve Harris Ranch beef. And it's like, have you driven by Harris Ranch? It's I promise you, you will want to put that menu down and walk out of there if you knew where that beef was coming from. In addition to the seed oils they saute in because they want that neutral oil flavor. They don't want any flavors imparted on it. So anyway,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right there. And as far as the sourcing, first, that's the thing you'll hear from other restaurateurs that highlights the difficulty of it, right? So there's really popular. Do you know Andrew Gruel on Twitter, Chef Andrew Gruel? He was
Mm-hmm.
mentioning this. Big fan of his, by the way, but he was mentioning this on Twitter. How the system is and the distributors are kind of stacked against the average
Yeah.
restaurateur, basically making it sound like it's impossible. And you know, to an extent, I would agree that it is difficult, and rather, I should say, the system is set up against you. Like we're using like so many different distributors, and it's a headache trying to get what we need to get. And God forbid something runs out of stock, trying to find backups. It's really difficult, but it's definitely not impossible. I think what it takes is someone who cares about those and values health over profit, and I don't want to say yeah, it's just someone who just prioritizes the health, right? Because you can find these things, it just takes extra effort. And so I think the big one for us is our beef, right? That is, I feel like it's most everything else. I shouldn't say most everything else, but a lot of other things, it's either organic or it's not organic, right? And it's a lot simpler, but there's so many layers to beef suppliers, right? You have grass fed, you have 100% grass fed, you have pasture raised, not grass fed, you have pasture raised, grass fed, and grass finished, you have
Yes.
regenerative. And so, honestly, it was hard to actually communicate to some of our customers who aren't as well versed, what is regenerative meat, right? And is this grass fed? Is this pasture raised? And so, I knew my standards of what I wanted to serve in an ideal world, right? And it was a question at the beginning. I was like, is there enough supply of these high quality meats? And, for now there is. And so, our standards of what we use for our beef is 100% grass fed and finished. It's got to be pasture raised because, in my personal opinion, I would rather eat pasture raised but grain finished beef over something that is grass fed, but now they have these new factory farms that basically they're still factory
Right.
farms, but they're just feeding them, you know,
Yeah.
grass and hay, right? So I'm of the mindset I'd rather have my animal out on pasture, even if it's finished in grain. I don't know if your listeners are aware of this, but cows have this unique ability with their ruminant stomachs to where if they're fed corn and soy, they can take these kind of um, you know inconsistent proportions of nutrients and different fats and sugars and all of this and convert them, and they actually ferment it in their rumen, and convert them into the necessary fats that you and I need to eat, whereas chickens and pigs can't do that. So a factory farm
Mhm.
chicken that's fed corn and soy, a corn and soy fed cow, or sorry, pig, they can't change that. So actually they start accumulating these, linoleic acids and different fats into their fat tissue. And so when it comes to cows, pasture raised is that's the first thing that needs to be hit. And so if people go to Whole Foods, they have a pasture raised line, it's stage 4. It's pasture raised. It's not grass fed and finished, but I would eat that at home back in Sacramento all the time. And honestly, flavor wise, you get more fat on it. It's amazing. But when I started to look at like, okay, what do I want to eat? 90%, 6 out of 7 days a week. And what do I want my customers eating? And if this is going to go nationwide and I'm feeding millions of people, do I want those millions of people not only consuming beef that hasn't been grass-fed and finished, but also supporting an industry that's not ideal, right? And we're already seeing the pull that we have on our distributors in these farms where, based on our expansion plans, like they need to plan their growth around us. And so it's really exciting, right? Because, and I hope I'm not diverging too much, but
No.
when I was first getting into this, I actually wanted to start a regenerative farm. I was literally like days away from signing on the dotted line for a piece of acreage up near Sacramento and was going to do the regenerative farm. And it just didn't feel right. And now I see why. I feel like God was calling me in this direction. But, then I realized, wait, I'm not really equipped to scale and grow a big regenerative farm. But I feel like I am equipped to scale like a forward-facing retail brand, a restaurant, and that might actually have more of an effect by creating the demand for these natural, regenerative, grass-fed, cattle. And so I'm already seeing that, like, wow, if it's not too far forward where we may have to start investing alongside these farms and helping them scale and have a direct hand in growing people who are doing it the right way. And so, I know some of these farmers personally. I've visited some of these farms. People always ask which farms we get it from. Right now, I unfortunately have to kind of keep it close to the chest because there's such a limited supply, which I hate because like my whole thing is people know I'm videoing inside our kitchen showing you we don't use plastic sponges, right? I'm showing you these coconut husk scrubbers we use and trying to be as transparent as possible. But the fact of the matter is there's only a limited supply. So, but right now, all of our farms are California raised cattle. It's all 100% grass fed, 100% pasture raised. 2 of them are certified regenerative. One of them's not, but one of them practices regenerative practices. So, it really is like the pinnacle of beef. There is no higher, more complete, healthier product out there. And so, when it comes to that and when it comes to, the other ingredients, it just takes digging and research, right? Whether it's, the purity of your olive oils or, it's not always just, you have to get the most expensive luxury brand out there, right? Because, as a fast casual, how can I do that and keep the prices low, right? It's somewhat easy. I shouldn't say easy. It's more approachable to do what we're doing in a full service sit down restaurant because you can just increase the prices and, I'll spend $40, $45 a plate. How do you do it when it's $20 a meal? Right. Yeah. And so, it's about doing the due diligence on like what health aspects matter, right?